These guys qualified earlier on. They were only here today, of course, not here yesterday. And we've got some fantastic cars now beginning to line up for what will be their green flag lap, led away by pole sitter Scott Park. He's at a 1:37.218 to best the rest of the field, but not by much, because alongside him with a 1:37.2 of their own was the 33 of Clark and Ritty. Balin and Mason's 23 car goes from third, with Gadsby and Jones's 1:17 from fourth. Darren Ball just behind the pair of them, starting from fifth, with Blanco and Norman in the treble 4 for company. Row number 4 is where you'll see the starting Irvin and Henderson machine, the number 90 that is, and the number 69 from 8th position. The top 10 is completed by Stockford and James in the 78 and Ryan Park. Just outside the top 10 you'll find three on the grid alongside Tidmarsh and Webster's number 8. It goes from 14th. 15th position is Ballesteros and Trundley in the 1:19, with Moger and Freeman in the 18 car alongside them. Simonson and Stanton of car goes from 21st. 22nd is Jonathan Packer in the 51 car. Ben Williams' 82 is from 23rd, with alongside for company Portugal and Bensley's number 83 machine. The pair of Hugginses, they start from 25th in the 30 car, with the pair of Coxes alongside in the 7 car going from 26th. Dennis and Moore in the 195 go from 27th. 28th is home to Connell and Wilkinson Hughes in the 97 car. The top 30 eventually is completed by Cheetham and Schofield's 43, and then Dendy, Sadler and Gay's 62 car. Jonathan Hayes starts from 31st in the 93, with Cook and Cook. The Cooks in the 183 car go from 32nd spot. The treble 8 is Graham Price. He starts 33rd. The 481 is Edward Christie. He starts 34th. Behind them, Peerless and Stenning go from 35th with a 16 car alongside Paul Supiani in the 66 car going from 36th. Mears and Reed, they've got the 316 machine underneath them, starting from 37th spot. 38th spot is Mount Downey in the 76 car. 46 car is Dougal and Hill, going from 39th to the top 20. Simonette and Mansell in at the 169. Gibson and Rigg in the 5 start the last full row of the grid from 41st. 42nd is the pair of Longdons in the 144, with the grid eventually completed by the Browses, Browse P and Browse L. They go in the 22 car from 43rd spot on the grid. If there was ever a time to wish the commentator good luck, I think that would be it. So we'll take all your thoughts, all your prayers and anything else in between, I think, as well, for any hope of keeping up with this one. The safety car has led this large field away on their green flag lap, of course anticipating a rolling start for this one, given the multi-class nature of it. If you're looking to keep an eye out on who's starting at the front and who they're going from where, the black and red Audi is Scott Parkin, and then behind that you've got that orange and black, I believe it's the BMW, the 33 car. It is indeed the BMW M3 for Clark and Ritty. That's your front row. If you see those cars jostling around with each other, that makes sense. If you see them jostling around further back down the field, then it means that we've had an absolutely fantastic start to this race. And we've got chaos unfolding for the next 1 hour and 15 minutes. It is a long one, of course, with a mandatory pit stop in the middle, where you'll see some driver changes where relevant, or a simple cup of tea, where we're staying in the car for both stints of the race. Looking back to the previous round, well, they started their season at Croft, Class A, led by James Collins and Joel Oswick in their BMW E46 M3, ahead of Kevin Hart, another one of those BMWs. Class B is Jonathan Packer, who's got the initiative in that one. He drives a VW Golf GTI with a number 5 on the side. And the Class C current leader after one round is Ashmore and Sam Dennis in their Honda Civic Type R. And amongst all of this, we've also got the Clubman Cup, which is slightly separate to those above. Rather than being based off of how quick the car actually is. It's based off of how old the car is. So cars based on models produced, or at least beginning to be produced in 2010 or prior, are eligible to score points in the Clubman Cup. Those points, of course, not carrying over. It's a separate championship in and of its own right, competed for from within this same event. The field is already through Stirling's. Scott Parkin at the head of that one, then the 33 car not far behind them. That's Kevin Clark and Aldo Ritty, we anticipate, although a little bit of debate earlier as to who was actually driving that one, so keep an eye out on DSL if you've got that up. If not, we'll have an eye out up here in the commentary box. Safety car is now just beginning to pull away from the field, allows Scott Parkin to control the pace with the red lights already ablaze on the gantry. We'll roll up to the start-finish line at some stage. The red lights will go out, and that means that we can put the pedal to the metal and get this race underway. We wait some more. All eyes are on the red lights, and we are eventually go for the Tegoat Club Enduro Championship round number 2. Good start from Scott Parkin. Under pressure already is the 33 BMW. They've been swamped left and right by both one of the TCR cars and indeed the Balin and Mason 23 machine swooping through. So not a good start for Ritty, dropping 1 row already. They'll challenge it towards Drew's, however, late on the brakes with that black and orange BMW. No way through at this stage, so they'll have to tuck in behind and look to see if they can make progress later on in this one, because they've got the time to do it. At front, however, it's the number 1, Scott Parkin, who leads the way towards Surtees. Further down the order, they're still making the way through Graham Hill Bend, of course. It's 2 abreast, 2 by 2 by 2. They're not joining the arc, they're starting a Club Enduro race, and they want to make sure that they are in the best possible position. The 44 car is out there, don't worry. The 144, that is London. And that BMW having done its qualifying laps after the session, so during lunch break, and the safety car to make sure that it was eligible to compete in this one. And it is out there, hopefully, for an hour and 15 minutes. There's some troubles earlier on this morning. Scott Parkin leads the field, albeit not by much. By the time they reach Westfield Bend, they swing right through there, then kick right through Dingle Dell, and look towards the top of the hill at Sheen Curve. It is going to be one of the BMWs that is closing all the way in towards the back of Scott Parkin. He's got to be aware of that, because you do not want that gap to get too small, because you know full well that it will be, I think it's the 117 looking to make progress up behind Scott Parkin. Through Stirling's already, through Clearways and in turn Clark Kerr already, and up onto the Raven straight they come. Scott Parkin at the head of the field. He's got a slender margin over. It is the 117 of Balin and Maxley, who's going through to the inside. I thought for a moment there, but Scott Parkin covered it off, squeezed the line, closed it down towards the inside. Gatsby and Jones, they'll have to think about another way through. They're thinking about Druids, but Parkin's already got the inside line covered there. He'll swing out for the best possible exit he can manage and fend off the attack at Graham Hill Bend before it even starts. And don't yet count out Balin and Mason in that TCR Cupra. That Seat Leon is closing in all the time, thinking about a move from 3rd up to what would be 2nd. Then we've got a good group for 4th position, led by the people that started 2nd. They've since dropped down. That's Clark and Aldo Ritty. The 33 car got a bit of a queue behind it at this stage. Class B leaders are still Ballesteros and Trundle in lap 1. The number 119 car is the head of that one. Class C being led by Dennis and Moore in the 195 after 1 green flag lap of racing. To the top of the circuit already they are, then climbing up through these swinging, sweeping rights. It's Dingle Dell for the race leaders. Parkin thinking about being defensive. Scott knows better than that. However, at Sheen Curve, the move is not on in that particular opportunity. It might be on at Stirling's Bend, although he was late enough on the brakes in his Audi TDI in order to discourage the overtake there. The Audi TET making good progress at this stage, and actually very good progress at Clark Curve as he's able to extend the gap behind. That's going to leave the 117 BMW vulnerable to attack from behind, because that number 23 is closing all the time. The Cupra TCR machine good on the brakes, as actually was the BMW ahead in 2nd place, and the 3 of them, Constantina up behind. Parkin, Scott Parkin once more. It could be a move for 4th position in a moment or two, because out wide there goes the Urban and Henderson car. They'll have to try and get back to a late apex, and they've somehow just about managed that. It amazes me that Clark and Whitty were able to do that, because they were late on the brakes, too late on the brakes. The gap opened up inside. They're wide again out of Graham Hillbend, however, and that's going to allow Blenko and Norman up one spot. The TCR car making good progress. Slight lock up behind there as we see tyre smoke up into the air. In fact, it might be a bit more sinister than that, because we also see it up in the air on exit of Surtees, which is very unusual. Change of surface flag being waved at Sterling's, which is not something you want to see, particularly given that there's not a car off the road. So that would imply they're worried about some sort of oil spillage down there at Sterling's corner. The first people to get there will be the leaders, still led by Scott Parkin at Westfield, still led by Scott Parkin at Dingle Dell, and actually he'll still be leading by the time he gets there, because there's a chance for him to break away as second and third battle amongst themselves. Off the road immediately actually goes the third place car. That is not what we want to see. Balin and Mason, the 23 Cooper TCR. I don't know whether they misjudged the braking or they were caught out by that change of surface, but the safety car is deployed. I'm not sure if that car has emerged out the other side. It's definitely not emerged quite yet, and I'm worried it might have ended up at the barrier. Seeming more and more likely that that is the case the longer we wait and do not see it. Completing the lap then, of course, under safety car conditions, Scott Parkin, the number one car in the lead. Behind him, the 117 machine is what you'll get next. That, driven by either Martin Gatsby or Ian Jones at this stage. It was split around about the halfway point. Then it's the treble 4 having a good race thus far. Alan Blenko and Claire Norman. We saw Claire up in the commentary box yesterday. She was very excited to get the action underway in a road race, as well as the beginning of that GT Cup event from here. The 33 is Kevin Clark and Aldo Ritty in the black and orange BMW. It sits 4th overall under the safety car train and is the head of the other car, so to speak, at this stage, because once the Claire Norman and Alan Blenko TCR treble 4 had made progress, it didn't really look like going backwards, let's put it that way. It certainly has the pace to go with the top 2 now that it's got some clean air, of course, once the safety car period has resolved itself. Circuit vehicles are on track then to assist with whatever is actually just out of our sight, unfortunately, round at Sterling's. And the rest of the field will queue up behind the safety car. The circuit vehicles are all most familiar with it, of course. Plenty of time in this one still, though. We started with 1 hour 15 minutes on the clock. We've still got 1 hour 8.5 minutes on it as it stands right now. And amongst all of this, we actually managed to lose David Cox and Jason Cox as well. That number 7 BMW did not cross the line when we would have expected it, so I wonder if that one was stranded further around the circuit as well, which is not so good for the pair of Coxes, and particularly not for whichever one was driving at that stage. But the late joiner for the safety car queue, in the form of the 5 Ginetta, Daniel Gibson and Chris Rigg, at the wheel of the G40 over the course of this event. They're a long way back of the rest of this pack, so they'll have a bit of work to do to get round to the rear of the train, which is already round in the GP loop, actually, at Hawthorne Bend. The sun itself peeking round once more, it should be said, so the track temperature, as if it wasn't warm enough, will be going up still, and we've got the 44 car in the pit lane, and in the pit lane for some time it has been now. They're at risk of losing a lap. Alex Lively in the Ginetta G20 just himself now. That all-green crazy machine has got a reasonable amount of attention going on to it. The safety car queue is coming round, and they'll drop yet another lap if they're not careful here. Is the car going to be pushed out back in time? The answer to that will be no, because it would have needed to be on its way down pit lane already if it had any chance of staying on that lap. But a flatbed truck headed round to the area of the incident, and indeed one of the pickups, to add to the circuit vehicle crew round at Sterling's Bend, as I believe the recovery is still. Interesting, not a huge amount of weaving going on from these cars. We'd often see quite a bit of effort going into maintaining tyre temperature at this stage of a race. However, just 2 120-minute races, we're down at far less than that, 1 hour 15 instead of the 2 hours that they are used to. There are some success penalties to come into play when we reach the pit stop area too, which, as if it wasn't enough already in terms of excitement, they'll have plenty ongoing by the time that they reach that part of the event, which currently seems an awful long way away, as we are still awaiting the recovery operation down at Stirling's Bend. Scott Parkin will have plenty of time to think about how to move himself from first by not very much to first by hopefully a bit more, although the disadvantage is everybody behind him is thinking about how to move forward past him under the safety car period, as he's got to do that brilliant getaway all over again.
Yeah, I was just down, in theory, getting paperwork, but people were all in the wrong places because there was an awful lot going on. The thing with Stirling's, and I don't know how much you can see up here, because I was in race control, is on the exit on the left-hand side of the circuit, we had a car that blew an engine and was sort of sticking half across the track, and then suddenly this Seat appeared there. Can't have really slowed that much, and just went straight on and hit the barrier, and did actually hit it, sadly.
Paul Browse and Luke Browse, that one now confirmed since it's come back into our direct view, so to speak, there.
What a shame that the 44 lives with Janetta with his incredible aero package on it is in the pits.
Pulled into pit lane, looked as if they were going to try and get it back out before the safety car queue came round, and they've now dropped 2 laps, so unsuccessful in that attempt.
Huge shame, that one.
Encouragingly, the stranded Cupra of the Browse family is back underway under its own steam, so having been retrieved from the gravel, it's at least going to attempt to drive itself as far as pit lane. I hope it doesn't go too much further than that, because it was a hefty impact.
It was. Did you actually get to see that, did you?
We got it on the camera. It looked as if they had closed all the way on the back of what was then the second place car, didn't have time to stop, and had to bail onto the grass, at which point you were not scrubbing any of the speed off. Which
means completely ignored the double wave yellows of the car that was half on the circuit stationary, so that's not very good, that one, is it, to be honest with you, sadly. But we've got 2 recovery vehicles. One that will be for the car that was already stranded there, the sort of pale blue. Looked like it was probably a BMW. Would that be the 23 car? Because it sees that. I mean, that's a significant one, wasn't it? Isn't it? The 23 that was on the second row is gone.
Yes, Balin and Mason we lost in amongst all of it as well. That was... No, that occurred much earlier on.
So it'd be that one, the Cox BMW, that will have been sidelong on the circuit. So it goes round the corner and then obviously just kept turning and was pointing outwards to the south coast or whatever it might be, but half on the circuit, and yet that TCR arrived at the pace that you're explaining, and yes, the flags went straight on, which is why I think they were a bit frustrated there because everybody's slowing down for these yellows.
The big winners from all of this are the drivers of the Treble 4 car, Claire Norman and Alan Blencoe. They started down in 6th spot. They run 3rd in the queue, having simply picked up the pieces from other people's mistake and made... to decisive overtake. Along the way as well. I reckon they've got the pace at this stage, at least judged by the first few laps, to contend with the 2 cars up ahead.
We've got another one of those that is the dynamic change again, isn't it? That we don't know what that dynamic change is. It's unlike with the GT Cup, we kind of got an understanding of what was going on. With this, we have got to look at this when it's a grid this big. You've got this awful challenge when you're under a safety car that they end up stopping, trying to go up the hill and then having to do a hill start in a race car, heading back up towards Druids, and it's always been that case, hasn't it?
It is,
that, isn't it? And this is your first time at Brands, so you don't know.
Yeah, first time at Brands. I've not seen that before, but that's always the case.
Yes.
Understood.
Yes, just the concertina effect, and they suddenly have got nowhere to go, which is a huge shame. I still just love watching this wonderfully eclectic mix of cars. Just brilliant to see.
It's all the colours as well, isn't it? Of course, we sometimes see series with a lot of different shapes in it. Rarely this many. The number of entrants here is through the roof. But then we've got white ones, orange ones, green ones, yellow ones, and everything in between as
You're
well.
about to burst into song then.
Oh no, I wouldn't even think about torturing our
I actually started
wonderful
dancing, yeah.
spectator crew with quite that much. And I also wouldn't want them to see your dancing. That's not positive for anybody.
Beerlin and Mason, yes. So that was the car that went into the gravel, wasn't it?
It was.
Into the pits. And it is up on the air jack, so they're having a look. And I suppose you would do, because it's an hour and a quarter race. So you're going to see whether you can get it sorted enough to head back out. The mid cars, understandably, as is always the case, if there's been contact, they get them back in to make sure there's no concussion or anything like that. And so they'll just make sure everybody's A-OK. So that one, the good news is actually they aren't even going to the med centre, so they haven't brought anyone back that needs to be seen. They're getting back into their relevant positions so that we can get the action back underway. So they obviously checked them there and made sure that they were out A-OK. But there's still a flatbed out there, bizarrely.
There is one flatbed remaining at Stirling's, which the field is currently sort of squeezing its way past. I say squeezing, there's plenty of room for them, but you'd certainly rather have the full track than the flatbed on there, which means that it will be, possibly it was waiting for somebody else, or maybe they decided that, well, that one's got to get itself all the way back up the straight, and they'd rather it was stationary when the field came by.
Yeah. I'm hoping we haven't had, I mean, it didn't look like we were scoring, but I say I'm hoping that we haven't had fluids down there by I was told that the BMW that was stopped their side on the track with its engine. So
we had the change of surface flag out from before they were joined by the Cupra. So I did wonder if maybe that played a part in the Cupra going off initially. And as such, that could explain why they're still there as they sort out some of that fluids left in there.
We've still got only just under the hour left to go, so there's still plenty of fight. If anything, that means we've only had just over 15 minutes, incredibly. Yeah, I was down desperately trying to get paperwork from here, there, and everywhere. And there's been 2 safety cars now? Is it
just the one long safety car period, I believe.
Okay. And yet it's only 15 minutes. It just feels like there's an awful lot more that's going on there. But do you know when the pit window opens? Presumably smack in the middle.
I believe it's generally middle, yes, but as for exactly what it is in this race, I'm not entirely sure, because of course this is a shorter race than they would normally have. They're often up at the 2-hour mark. This one 45 minutes shorter than that.
Now, Snatch, JCB, the yellow vehicles are available. Is making its way out of harm's way.
Well, yesterday we were discussing the tractor that inspired the Cars model, and I think that could be a character of itself there if they do a 4th film.
It's just a whole animated film from Brands Hatch ready to be made.
Where's Johnson? He must be listening, right? He was here yesterday.
He'll have bagged that idea now.
Yeah. No rights for us, that's for sure.
That's what I'm told, in a voice, out of voice. So we've only got 6 laps in the book thus far, and it is that incredible Audi, or 2 incredible looking Audi TTs, the Darkside. I'm sure they are Darkside, because that's where the parking boys, I'm sure that
it is
their company, isn't it? I saw their wonderful pickup pit lane behind, the centre paddock here earlier, with their typical black with the red sort of livery on it, and it looks as meaty as you'd expect.
Have you ever seen that pickup with the tailgate up? They've always got something attached to it, strapped down. It's packed full of racing equipment, that one generally. Safety cars, it's still on.
Which we weren't sure because we can't see from this out. Whether we were potentially hoping to be able to get going.
Not quite yet, that's for sure. There was still a bit of movement around on the circuit moments ago with vehicles returning to their normal position. I think we've still got somebody on exit of Stirling's.
Well, that's the BMW whose engine expired. It is now on the flatbed. Oh, that's number 7 actually. It's the Cox's BMW. So
that explains where that one went to ride.
Oh no, I did guess that one in the end. didn't I? I did eventually work out that's who it was. So that was the one whose engine expired.
Did you work it out by just listing everybody and saying that that was them, so that when you were right?
Somewhere in there I got it right.
I do love the livery on the 76 car, actually. The all orange Porsche is magnificent, I think. That's Michael Dowdy in his Porsche Boxster S, that one. Stands out, and there's a few orange cars out there, but for me, what does it is the yellow outline on the blue numbers. It's not quite that popular petrol brand, but it does still go well together.
I'm going to stay politically sensitive. All right, here we go, Mr. Wells. What he said. One pit stop of 3 minutes, not in the first 30 minutes or final 15 minutes of the race. Thanks, Mark. We do have somewhere around here on the paper those details, but this is one pit stop of 3 minutes, not in the first 30 minutes. So that means we need to get down to 45 left on the clock and not in the final 15 minutes. So it's a 30-minute window. True, everybody?
Yes. Yeah, that's quite terrific. I shouldn't say surprise, should I?
You did a bit though.
It was taking me longer to do it myself to confirm. I feel the need to check. We've had a few discrepancies at times, I think. For example, that time you brought back 2 biscuits and you should have brought back 3. It's simply not acceptable. That's
when did you do that?
Years ago, at like Snetterton or something.
I can't even remember that.
You said you were going to bring back. I think it was 3 biscuits, and you came back, realised you'd only brought 2, and then doubted whether you'd eaten the last one without noticing.
That doesn't surprise me. Safety car is now coming in. We're going to get the race action underway. So here we go. The number 1 car of Scott Parkin. He's going to. He's just going. He's backed off a little bit. That's probably freaked out the Gatsby and Jones 117 car momentarily, and he's waiting. None of them can go. Although Kevin Clark thought he could, and he was about to go blasting past them and had to slow back again. And we're going into this first corner, and those BMWs are just looking very racy at the moment, but it's the TT that still has the front, and it is the 444 car of Alan Blenko or Claire Norman that is trying to go round, and we nearly... went 3 wide round the hairpin at the top of the hill then.
Kevin Clark and Aldo Ritti coming under pressure from that in the BMW. Exactly the same issue they had in the first running of this race, whereby they keep washing out wide at Paddock Hill Bend, and that gives opportunities to the cars behind.
And I do notice it does say Ritti now, doesn't it?
It does. I've double-checked that about 3 times to make sure now after qualifying.
I was surprised that there was obviously another Livesey in a different car, so it wouldn't have made sense, would it? But it took a while to get that sorted. That was a name we never saw against that BMW that Kevin Clark. Of course, Kevin Clark works with drivers that we come across rather regularly. I'm tired of making up words now. In Lucky Carer and all that lot, and he just has a wonderful time racing and everything else. Right, it's definitely a busy circuit out there, isn't it, for this? And there's multiple fights up and down through this field. We've got multiple classes. We've still got ages till we get this pit window. We've got just under 8 minutes left to go before the pit window even opens. And they've only got served 3 minutes in that 30-minute window.
That'll be the big one, isn't it? Is you're always tempted to get as close to the 3 minutes. I do prefer that kind of. We've just swapped them round again. Get as close to that 3 minutes as possible. But the penalties when you short it are astronomical compared to how much time you actually gain. So you come in a tight fight, you want to get as close to as possible, but you have to leave that little bit of margin. It's like a game of chicken.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is for this one, but I know in the MSVT track day races, it's a full lap, isn't it? Black flag for car number 23. That is the Beerland and Mason car. So that has been told, no, you can't be out on that circuit. You need to come back in again. That one, of course, was into the barriers, and they've decided that either there's something wrong with that car, but then that would be the black and orange flag, wouldn't it?
Black flag is disqualification for non-mechanical reasons, so to speak.
Okay. I mean, it could be.
It could be mechanical,
if they've been
but
ignoring
it's
the black
instant.
and orange. Yeah, so they're not happy with something, so that car's going to have to come in.
That pit lane penalty that we mentioned, you said it was a whole lap and that was start. It's 3 times the start here because it's a 3-lap penalty for making a mandatory pit stop of less than 3 minutes plus success penalties.
That's draconian, isn't it? Goodness me. You're not hanging about there with that one, then.
Not hanging about at all, and there's various other pretty severe penalties involved here, particularly involving speeding in the pit lane or not making your pit stop, for example. You've got to make sure you're absolutely on.
Fair shout. Okay, so it is still the TT that was leading as they disappeared out of our eyesight up onto the GP circuit, coming back into our view. It is still, it's 3 really equidistant from each other. It is the number 1 car, Scott Parkin, in that wonderful Audi TT in the lead. The BMW car number 117. Where did he start? Gatsby Joe started in 4th place, but is challenging for the lead. And then it is the 444 Blenko and Claire Norman TCR car that is sat there in 3rd. And they've managed to pull away from Kevin Clark, and in fact left Kevin Clark or Ritty, my apologies, it could be either of those, in the clutches of the 90 car of Irving and Henderson.
That BMW, the black and orange one in 4th, does not seem to have the pace of the cars in front. And I'm actually not convinced it's got the pace of the cars behind either, because as you mentioned, Irving and Henderson are looking to make progress forwards in their Mazda, and in turn there's a bit of a queue behind them as well. To the inside goes that Mazda. Irving and Henderson, they're on the inside of Surtees. They can't quite carry the momentum, however, and they'll have to try that again. Smoke from the black and orange BMW again.
I was going to say, I remember you now saying that in passing in qualifying, didn't you?
It was at that same point there. It looked as if it was tyre smoke, but it continues on exit, which makes me wonder if it's something else.
Yeah, even after it's unloaded or overloaded or whichever one it is. Into the pits has come the 93 BMW. So Hayes goes dropping down through the order. It's not going to be a pit window stop yet because we're a good nearly 5 minutes away from that yet. So there is an issue, and they're in fact looking at the back of that car.
Always good when the mechanic immediately lays down, because it means that there is a problem and they know exactly where it is in that instance.
Good point, yeah. Always got a positive spin on things. I love it. Here come the lead 3, still equidistant. They're about to come up against the back marker. What effect is that going to have? In 4th place, it is still the number 33 BMW of Clark and Ritty, with a little less pressure when they came into our view by that monstrous-looking Mazda MX-5 car number 9. Of Daniel Irving and Alan Henderson, and it just looks to me at the moment as if he's fended off the worst from that MX-5 and just making it a little bit more comfortable for him. But it's watch the smoke down the back end of the Cooper Straight.
I think that immediately holds the Mazda of Irving and Henderson, the number 90, right back onto the tail in the battle for 4th place. Is there smoke? There is smoke again. That doesn't look like tyre smoke to me. There's something about that when we are directly behind the car. It comes out the middle of the machine.
It's difficult to tell because you are right though, it has exploded, and hopefully it's nothing untoward. It certainly doesn't seem to be fully affecting it. It's going quick. The black flag to number 23 is now showing on the screen as well, so hopefully they will see it. They have gone past again already, or have they? They'll come through fairly soon, but they obviously have been lapped a few times, and they need to make sure they come in and satisfy the officials. Sometimes you do have it where they come in and they realise that they've made a mistake, but it's not very often that happens.
No. And you say 99.99, etc. The chance that you come in and you really should have come in.
Yes, exactly. So here come the leaders, about to put 12 laps in the book now, and we are 2 minutes 40 away from the windows open. 1 minute stop-go penalty for cars 55 and 13 for overtaking under the safety car. 55 Simerson and Stanton that is sat there in 9th position. 13, which is sat in 15th, that's Fazy. And we've had the change. The MX-5 has got past the BMW for 4th place.
Yeah, indeed. That was at the top of the circuit somewhere where the MX-5 was able to carry that speed. Nerfed out wide, actually, with the 2 cars behind them, where they both got the braking wrong, and they were well out wide at Druid's corner.
Which I think that Parkin and Brichter had just got past the 25 car of Ball, which which is the Dayglow yellow and black Seat, and he was trying to go a step further, possibly did it too quickly there, and got involved with the BMW of presumably Hampson and Schultz, car number 69. Would that add in? Yeah, that's the BMW M2 CS racing car. So Andy Schultz and Matthew Hampson may well feel a bit aggrieved by that one.
You wouldn't be best pleased. I don't think there was any contact, but they had to avoid the contact. They were going straight on at Druids, with just waiting for the second of the parking, so to speak, to turn in. It could also be Bridge, of course.
So another car that's coming into the pits, that is the, I think that's the Sirocco, is it? From the distance that we saw out by the safety car in the lunch break.
It is indeed that all-green Sirocco.
Team manager, car 23 to race control immediately, and that will be largely because your driver's ignoring the black flag that is clearly displayed on the digital display of the start-finish straight, as well as by race control, so there is absolutely no chance that they're going to be unaware, and that's where it starts getting rather angrily enforced. Now the number 6 Audi TT is not only up to 6th place, but is on the back of the 33 BMW of Clark and Ritty, so they're looking to go even higher again. The into the pits has come, the number 23 now, so I'm pretty sure that's the one that's into the pits. Might be wrong, but the pit window is about to open in 30 seconds. Oh no, sorry, that's the BMW that got nerfed out of the way, wasn't it? I couldn't see for the sun then.
I did wonder if that one possibly had a bit of damage in amongst it all previously, because it came out alerting quite a bit of black smoke initially at Druids Bend when it was out wide. That then seemed to clear itself. There's not a huge amount of action going on with that car.
I think you'll find there was contact between the two of them, judging by that, especially as it's not looking like the happiest of drivers in the world at the moment either, is he? So that is a huge shame.
They are going to do a driver change here, but of course they've come in slightly too early because the pit window is now open and only for 6 seconds from now.
And that glove has been angrily thrown towards the garages as well, so clearly frustrated with whatever happened up at Druids, and that we looked at afterwards. Hampson and Schultz will plead any kind of case, but still, bizarrely, the 23 car. Oh no, it is showing that he has come in now, so the 23 car is out. Yeah, just see it at the far end there. The team manager should have been downstairs. That means that they've got rid of on the screen at least the 23. But I think they've told them you need to go down to the lower paddock, you're out. I would imagine it's a case of it was too big an incident to be recovered. Now, nobody is pitting. The pit window is open, but nobody is pitting normally. I have no idea how this is going to work for the 69 car.
Gatsby and Jones are plummeting down the order. They were second on the last lap, and they've yet to come through the timing on this lap. I think it's because they're taking their pit stop possibly, but even if that was them, that would be a lot of time lost.
Yeah, I'm not sure that is them, is it? That's the 55 car.
No, that's the 55. Gatsby and Jones are somewhere else, and crucially not in front of us or in second place.
We've got a green flag on the Cooper straight behind us. Let me just take my headset off because it's behind our commentary box that we may be able to see something.
The Roman reporter, Christos, roams to the back of the commentary box beyond the stretch of our wires to see if we can find that car that was previously sitting second, now is sitting somewhere else, is the simple fact of it. 1 minute stop-go penalty, as we mentioned, for the 55 and the 13 for overtaking under safety car. The BMW has stopped, and it is, in fact, along, that's the entrance to Surtees actually, so Gatsby and Jones will not go any further. That's another position just by staying tidy and clean for the treble 4 of Alan Blanco and Claire Norman up to second.
Yeah, fantastic job. That's been threatening for some while, hasn't it? I'm not sure which of them is in there. Claire Norman joined us up in the commentary box yesterday when she arrived here ahead of their race today. Into the pits comes one of the Audi TTs, and it will be the leader. So in comes parking. There's no driver change for that one, so it's just going to come in and serve the 3 minutes that they need to do for that one.
It's an interesting point to come in at this particular stage. I would imagine you want to split the race in two exactly, so to speak, whereas we're a few minutes away from that yet. So Scott Parkin has still got the majority of his race to do when he leaves the pits. The tyres, of course, at that stage will be screaming for help, I'd imagine. We've got a race between the 10 car, which is trying to make progress past the 22. It'll be on the outside of Paddock Hill Bend, though, and eventually has to yield that one, at least for the time being.
Is that legitimate? Yeah, it is. That's 6th and 7th, isn't it? The Fenwick and Shepherd number 10 and the Browse number 22 car. And was a genuine move for position, therefore a good position. The next target for them is going to be Stopford and Alan James, isn't it? The number 78 car. They are all Class A cars, so that is legitimately going to be wanting to do that. Alan James or Stopford trying to get past one of the back markers, job done at Surtees, and it needed to get that one done as quickly as possible. The 23 car has been allowed back out onto the circuit as well. Or it might not be, it might have disappeared down to the lower paddock, but of course what it does is that it comes and registers out of the pit lane here, I think, from memory, so it might be
does indeed, because the timing beam for the pit lane is much earlier than it looks like it's going to be. We've got the walled section of what is actually pit lane exit.
And it goes out through the gate, just inside the box to get to the lower paddock, so still, we've got the 1 minute stop go penalty for car 13 yet to be served. Just feels like an eternity. We've got tyre changes going on, interestingly, on... Is it all 4 wheels, the number 1? I mean, I guess they've got time, but I'm surprised they're doing full-time changes. That suggests to me that there's no real control on what they can and can't do in terms of tyres. Refueling happening as well, by the looks of it, because the Clark... Clark's BMW is in, and they are actually refueling that car. It looks like it's the usual one that's got to be out if there is refueling going on. I have a feeling that Kevin Clark's the one that's jumping in now.
Interesting from both of those cars. So in fact, yeah, because they're about to be joined by a third one right in the middle.
That is a very tight pit lane there, as an MX-5 169 jumps in between them.
You wouldn't feel comfortable parking that close at the supermarket, would you?
No. James Peter-Zennis has confirmed the 169 car, 119 car, sorry, that's down in 9th place, but Ballesteros and Trumby saying that Trumby is the one that started that car. Ballesteros will be taking it over. That's quite a cool looking car, isn't it? The car's just about to be refueled. Is it 83?
Yes, the 83 Honda Civic, that one, I believe. Particularly nice livery with the blue and the yellow on it. Well, we've been enjoying blue and yellow all the way through. That's William Pottergill and Ryan Bensley's Honda Civic type car.
The race leader continues on at the moment. The 444 car crosses the line of Benko and Norman. As just now leaving the pits is the number 1 car. Black flag for car number 23 and 13. So I don't know whether that means the 23 did go back out and has been summoned again, or whether that's just a legacy. But car number 13, because it's not come in to serve its stop-go, it's the Stopford and James car just stepped out into the gravel as he came from Clearways in towards Clark Curve. And he just caught it in time, but it's lost in that position. Up goes the 22 car of the Browse. So through the green car goes. That means that Stopford and James drop down into 6th place, but at least they live to fight another day in what would have been a very quick and very scary moment.
The 13 that's got the black flag in amongst all of that is Matt Faisley in his Porsche Cayman. As for what that one was related to, I'm not entirely sure.
Which one, sorry?
Matt Faisley.
13. That was one of 2 that got done for overtaking the safety car.
Okay.
Whereas the 23 we're assuming is related to where it went off. In what respect we're not quite sure, but that did come in, and we're still trying to establish whether the 23 cars got back out. So it does seem to suggest it did. Stopped at each pit box on the far end and then went back out again.
Fastest lap of the race last time round from the treble 4 of Alan Blanco and Claire Norman, a 1:37.511. And they were about a second a lap quicker than anybody else on the circuit at that stage. They've then followed that up with a...
Did go back out on the circuit again, has been black flagged yet again, is brought in, but it stopped at the far end. And if that's just their team up there, that's the wrong people to see. You kind of almost need to probably be down to the officials down this far end, unless they've sent officials up there to them. It is now moving again. And we'll see which way that's going to go. It's going into the fast lane, although it's probably not got a choice, to be fair, is it?
The wonderful Civic Type car that we were admiring is currently parked about halfway into the slow lane of the pit lane, which certainly wouldn't help.
So the 23 car is now making its way further down.
this one develops then, we'll give you an update on class leaders after the pit stop window has closed, because we're 10 minutes into that pit window. As a result, the order is well and truly jumbled up. There's a battle going on in terms of the times and the lap times for the overall race lead between Blanco and Norman's treble 4 that's out front currently, and that Ryan Parker Audi that has already stopped. On that previous lap, the Audi did a 141 compared to a 138 for the treble 4 TCR out front. Of course, all of that is dependent upon how exactly the lap times evolve with traffic, of course, and indeed tyres coming in from parking, since we saw those being changed. Blanco and Norman across the line. They lost another half second on that lap compared to their previous best. They're now in the 38.4, which is the mid-38 seconds, rather than where they were, which was in the mid-37 seconds. So their pace fading away over the last couple of tours of this Brands Hatch Grand Prix in particular setup. The order maintains its utterly jumbled mix of cars as we wait for what is ultimately quite a long pit window to play itself out.
Yeah, and the 13 car is in the pits, and they're doing the full pit stop. Yeah, that's picked up a black flag, so I'm fairly confused. It was a stop-go. It didn't come in and serve its stop-go, kept going. It's then been progressed to a black flag. It's come in, done the refueling, getting ready to go out and race. It's a question of whether they're going to allow them to do it. The 23 car that was black flagged earlier then went straight back out again, was about to try and do it all over again, and sort of was ignoring a few administrations to stop there, and then Joe East had to go down in his full regalia and stop him through the window and go, no, that's it, you're out. I didn't catch what the reason was for it, but he tried desperately to, he's not me, Gov, but he was.
In amongst all of this black flags, there's now a black and orange flag for somebody, and fastest lap of the race. We mentioned it had gone the way of your overall leaders currently, the treble 4. It's now gone back to Ryan Parkin in the number 1 car, 137.436, means that he's now closing in, and our virtual battle for the overall lead continues.
Yeah, we need to try and see, because it's not showing on TSL what who the black and orange flag is for, so hopefully if I keep an eye on it, when it is moved back, I'll be able to see. I wonder whether it is the 33 car, unless there's somebody that is carrying a bit of bodywork or something. Got numerous black and white warning flags going up, 25, 66, 78, 195, but we've not got an indication of who the black and orange is for just yet.
Ironic if the black and orange flag was going to the black and orange car, wouldn't it? It's what they'll be worried about. That's the only one we've seen consistent issues from, albeit it's not slowed the car up, but there's definitely been some sort of gas pouring out the back of it at Surtees corner, and as a result, I suspect in a couple of other sections off the track as well.
The triple 4 car's gone back out again. I got a feel in the 13 car, has that gone back out again? So try not to look out away from down there. It's a 13 car gone back out.
The 13 car, can't see it actually, so
no, it's not in possibly. Has it gone out or has it gone down to the lower paddock? What's it showing?
It's the 13 machine is currently out on circuit. Matt Fazy dropped 2 positions, but he did have a lap time on the previous tour.
Okay, interesting. So he has been, well, at the moment he's gone out anyway. Whether it was officially allowed, we'll wait and see. Jamie Peters-Ennis has confirmed that triple 4 was Alan Blanco started, so that means that Claire Norman's jumped into that car now.
I'll be curious to see where it is that one re-emerges actually, because they are in the battle for the effective race lead. Parkin pitted early and is now climbing back up the order as those around him stop. He's of course then finding time on what is a relatively quiet track to carve his way up. He sits 17th in the order as he recovers with others stopping. Just 13th is that Blanco and Claire Norman machine, which Claire Norman will be stepping into. They've got 1 lap stepped into and have 1 lap in hand.
Yeah, because they've already been in and done their checks. They've got back out again. 33, it is the 33 for the black and orange, and that must be for that smoke that we've seen from the qualifying, and it just seemed to be a little bit more. I don't think it's come in just yet, has it? Has it? It's about
33 down in 23rd currently.
So that is back in the did I smell the 444's back?
The 444 I don't think left, at least I didn't see it leave.
Oh, well, it was one that looked the same as it then that left, because I sort of said, oh, the race, what was the race leader has left and has pits again. It is only one, so yeah, it must have just been one of the other ones that has the same livery on it. So Claire Norman is indeed out in that car now, or in that car, about to go out now.
Reversed and, well, pushed more likely, and then accelerates into the faster lane of the pit lane. The faster lane, of course, is the straight alongside, which has got Ryan Parkin accelerates through now. The number 1 car will be the effective race leader at this stage. Matt Fazy back into the pits, hopefully obliging by his black flag.
Yeah, which is why I wonder whether actually he has gone down there into lower, because if it's the same as the 23, it's not a stop-go. It grew from a stop-go to a black flag, and so it's out of the race.
What's the gap going to be, the question is, between Parkin and Claire Norman behind Claire Norman? Looks as if she might actually have a problem in Trudes. That car definitely not accelerating and pulls off the racing line pretty quickly. So that treble 4 came in looking pretty quick, but is certainly slow now at Graham Hill Bend and is well off the racing line.
Dear, that, as we said earlier, that was one that was looking good. Claire was really excited about jumping into that car today, and that is not looking up to speed in the slightest. Which direction? Okay, so she's still going up onto the GP loop, so she's hopeful that she'll get it resolved in one way or another. There's no point even trying to second guess exactly what the order is until we flush this one through, because it was confusing before we got to the pit window.
And the only one I'm confident about is I think the overall leader is Ryan Parkin. That's the only one I think I'm confident about. I think is the only one that's probably confident. Maybe. Possibly. With a chance. Is that Ryan Parkin's probably the race leader.
I agree with you, by the way.
Potentially, that Audi could be out front.
And I agree that there's probability. Safety car is out. Now, is it clear why? It could be the 444 car has ground to a halt somewhere.
If it had done, it would be somewhere along that infield straight between Pilgrim's Drop and Hawthorne Hill, potentially. Because we saw it disappear from Surtees. I'm not convinced on the cameras we picked it up coming out the other side as yet. No sign of it from some of our other views, however, so we'll continue the scout on that one. A few of the cars already in the pits. Of course, this will benefit them because it means that their pit stop, they'll lose less time relative to the competition, who are maintained and neutralised at safety car speeds. Darkside doing another full tyre change, actually. We saw it on the 1 car, now we're seeing it on the 6 car of Ryan Parkin. I'm not sure if that's him getting out or if it was him getting in, actually. I was hoping to be able to tell the difference, but they've got incredibly similar driver suits on those two drivers, which doesn't help us at all in trying to assess who is where at any given point. But Ryan involved in that one, of course, alongside his teammate Dylan Britcher, Scott Parkin in the 1, all on his lonesome.
444 is still going, and looks like, when I say up to speed, ironically, even though it's a safety car, it's not going as steady now as it was when Claire clearly wasn't happy with something. It has got going again. Bizarrely, there's a car being held at the end of the pit lane. I'm not sure why that's on red still. There's now 2 cars being held at the end of the pit lane, but there's no safety car coming now. So that seems a bit harsh.
It does seem incredibly harsh on those drivers. As you say, stopped on pit lane exit due to a red light, but no indicator. I mean, there's nobody even on the pit straight right now for them to intersect with.
We're going to have even more that are going to be queuing up at the end of the pit lane, and this... I wonder. tell you what, though, I hope that's not the 13 car that's down there. Fazy is back out again. I have a feeling that that's the number 13 car that should not be going back out again.
That is the last thing we want to see. The 13 would be a white
safety car is about to come down.
And now the safety car, as you mentioned, on its way. So
it could be that we sometimes have it where it is to try to even things out a little bit, to make sure that we're not someone's not getting a sudden advantage from a safety car. Some trying to level this out with things like this. It's been a while since I've seen that, but that was historically the case.
So yellow flags, of course, around the circuit because the safety car is on track. In terms of time remaining, we're down to 26 minutes left to go. Green light at the end of the pit lane means that those held can join the end slash middle of the safety car train, which is an interesting call there, but they are immediately onto the rear of that queue.
Which does suggest, I think that was kind of a little bit deliberate. You know, they sort of contrive it a little bit to make sure that there's not an advantage. I mean, it's stopped. Where's that?
That's Sheen Curve.
Slightly off camera, isn't it? That's where we can't see it. That's where the pickup truck has gone to anyway. So there's obviously someone, and that will be a mechanical issue because it's stopped as it's going up the hill into a Shinda. They've already got it hooked up. Is that one of the Lotuses, isn't it? That's the. I was about to say which one. I thought I questioned myself which one, but I'm sure it's one of the Lotuses.
I think Lotuses is probably plural. Lotai is when you've got multiple instances of there being lots of something called Lotai.
We lost the 113 car of Fed. I think it was that car. I know we lost the Gatsby and Jones 117 BMW down straight here. That's still there, just out of harm's way on the right hand side. So here comes the one that's being towed back. Too small to see.
Yeah, we've got no chance for that. We need the James Webb Space Telescope, I think, for that one.
We've still got a few that are yet to stop, but in fairness, they've still got 9.5 minutes, or just over 9 minutes to be able to make that stop.
Another couple of cars being held at end of pit lane as well, so it's a repeat of what we saw just a moment ago. Confirms that it is intentional, that one, to make sure that the race is played out in what's deemed to be a fair manner, because those are cars that came in under green flag conditions but were still in when the safety car was released, so inherently would have gained an advantage from them. Safety car queue is now up onto the Brabham Straight.
I would imagine this will be they'll be released at the end of this lap because the pickup trucks or the stricken car, what we assume is the reason for the safety car at least, into the pit lane already. It hasn't made it any clearer for us just yet which car that was. 12, and that's a BMW Z4 Coupe. That's just dropping down now. That has gone through. 13 is still out there despite the black flag, so they've obviously decided that they've told them off accordingly and then allowed them back out there again. The safety car will indeed be in this lap.
It could be the 113 of Alex Rivette in the Invitational class, I think.
That is an Elise, isn't it?
Yes, that's an Elise.
Sorry. I didn't, for some reason I thought Rivette was in an MX-5.
You need a few more ribbons in there, try and sure yourself up.
So we've got less than 23 minutes to go in this. Don't forget, after this we've still got 3 more races. We've got the sprint race for the GT Cup Championship, 25 minutes, one driver straight through. We've then got the MSVT Track Day Trophy. That is a 45-minute pit-stop race, and we round out the action on the Costo Championship, 20 minutes worth of racing for these single-seaters. We're going down on this fantastic 2-day event here on the Brands Hatch GP circuit. Don't forget, next weekend it is the Masters that will be here. A fantastic event. If you've not been to it, that will include Formula 1 cars up to the 80s. Model cars, including LMP1, LMP2 and LMP3 cars, various other GT things, just all sorts. On the 8th and 9th of June we have have the American Speedfest 11 powered by Lucas Oil. I should back in for that one. I cannot wait. It's my favourite event of the whole year. And Super Touring Power 2 I'll be back for at the end of June as well. You get the best era of touring cars in many people's eyes. And there's quite a few cars and drivers that will be here from that era as well, on circuit and off circuit. Safety cars peeled in. We're going to get this back underway. And the first car that is going to take it is Irving and Henderson, the 90 monstrous look of Mazda MX-5, because it is yet to pit. So that's why it's still, I mean, that's an interesting one. Why has it not pitted? It's got time to wait, but their driver changing. That suggests to me that the second driver doesn't want to do half a race.
Or potentially they were planning to pit right on the safety car period and then couldn't come in along those lines. So they are now leading the race, leading the field away. Behind them is the driver we expect to be your effective race leader once it's all played out. At number 1, Parker Audi. Parkin Audi, rather.
Oh, and Claire Norman's trying to look up the inside. Was that for position? Let's have a look. Number 16, no it isn't, so the number 16 car was a back marker that didn't really make it very easy for the faster car. What the defence would be, of course, for that is that you don't really know who's who. Loads of cars coming into the pits now, so that backs up what you were saying, doesn't it, really, that suggests that they aren't allowed into the pits while there's a safety car on the go.
Which again ties in with what we saw at the end of pit lane to make sure nobody gain an advantage by already being in.
I remember I used to see that in a few championships many years ago, but I haven't seen it for a while, so they're really trying to level it out. It always gets frustrating when you suddenly see the order completely change because of a safety car period and impacting pit stops, and some get a benefit, some don't, through no work of their own, so they don't necessarily earn that, if you will. I think the 90 cars coming in, in comes Irving and Henderson, so as you say, they may have wanted to have come in early, but they've had to wait. They're now coming in to do the driver change, as is the BMW behind it as well. We've already got 25, 10, 51, 176. That's the top 5 are into the pits. 55 from 6th place, Simpson and Stanton comes into the pits as well. And it just leaves 481 is the only other one that is yet to come in and pit. So that'll be crispy.
Claire Norman doing a good job of clearing some of that traffic in an efficient manner, and it is definitely worth noting how good a job that is, because they are not cars particularly slower than her. She is just quicker driving that than thus far, although before you know it, another one is going to dive back down the inside of her. I think that could be Stockford and James in the 78 Audi, actually. So that is 4th position, moves Stockford and James up a spot into what we anticipate will be 2nd overall, possibly. In fact, no, that is going to be further down there. That's for 9th overall at this stage.
Yeah, they're lapped down.
They have ended up a lap down, as has actually Parkin, who was leading at one stage.
That was for position, so it was ahead of Norman. Yeah, fair shout.
All of those guys currently, with a bit of time to find relative to the ones who are in the pits, they need to come round, pass them as they're in the pit stop, and then that's the 1, 2, 3 group.
3-minute pit stop though, isn't it? So I'd say that there's a reasonable chance that they will. But we've got to let it wash out. So I think it will be Parkin in the lead. The Stockford and James 78 cars just moved up into what I think will be 2nd place, ahead of Glencoe and Norman behind the wheel of that 444 car now. Although I think I just spotted that Claire Norman has not given up on getting that place back yet, which is of no surprise.
Not quite yet. She's still got her nose nibbling away. She's thinking about where you could get the opportunity. Of course, it may well be 2 different TCR cars, but it doesn't mean that they've got the same strengths and weaknesses. They are of similar descent, however not the same descent. We've got the Audi RS3 LMS for Stockford and Alan James versus, of course, that Seat Leon TCR.
So we're now getting these cars that were in the pits. Well, actually, you might be right, interestingly. That Stockford and James car has just gone through, potentially still behind Simerson, Stanton. The number 1 car, Parkin, we know is ahead of it, 25 ball. Is that? But yeah, because the Dayglow yellow's the 25. There's the 97 car. That's different. That's in a different area, isn't it? But the 25 car, just turning left at the end of the pits. There is Parkin. Parkin's miles ahead of all of them. It really has. Even where they tried to keep it sorted out, it has still mixed it all up, hasn't it?
Simpson and Stanton in for what's going to be their third pit stop according to our time screen, which is interesting for the 55 car.
Yeah, that's the BMW, isn't it? I think sadly that did look like it was getting a few issues a little while ago. So parking will be in the lead, ahead of 25 Ball. Will be in second. 78 Stockford and James in third position. Fourth, Fenwick and Shepherd got past Clay Norman last time round as well. 1 minute stop go penalty, car 13, overtaking under the safety car. Didn't it do that already? As well?
Yes, that was what caused the original dispute.
Wow, and then they've just done it in the latest safety car. Again.
Avoidable, maybe the phrase there.
You'd imagine so, wouldn't you? I mean, I think it's fairly black and white. We do not overtake a car when the safety car's out. Right, so car number 90, Irving and Henderson is in third place, has just gone out, so that is, I think, still held on to third. What's Stockford and James in fourth position, Blenko and Norman. So Fenwick and Shepherd haven't got past Norman, or if it did, it suddenly made a mistake last time round, which it did, because that was 7 seconds lost by Fenwick and Shepherd. So the number 10 car made up a place and then lost multiple on that last tour round. So Norman, is that with the number 6 car, presumably? The number 6 Audi TT?
It is, yes.
Which is right behind. But that's not for position, is it? Oh, no, it is.
It is for position.
So that means they've got past Claire Norman, the Audi TT, but that whole gaggle is battling for 5th, 6th, 7th, possibly even 8th there as well. Are we getting slightly less confused?
It's slowly working. We've got 13 seconds left in this pit stop window now. We already have all the pit stops that we're expecting to see completed. Of course, a few drivers no longer running, so they've not got a marker against them. But we're 3, 2, 1. Pit stop window is closed.
66 Saviani has stopped behind us here at the gate at the back of the pit lane at the centre paddock. So that car is sadly out of this race, but safely tucked out of harm's way, so it won't be an issue there. We have to hope that the number 13 car does actually see the stop-go penalty board going out. So it's not on the digital display this time up above the start-finish straight, but hopefully they will see the flag, etc., for another stop-go penalty. In fact, it is. Is this it here now? No, that's 97. Sorry, that's coming down the pit lane.
Next up for this 78 is Stockford and James car. They're only half a second away now from Irving and Henderson in the 90. That's for the overall podiums. Daniel Irving and Alan Henderson in the MX-5, they were looking pretty quick. Now they've got their eyes on their mirrors because the 78 is closing.
Yeah, so the 13 car that is getting this black flag for a stop-go penalty for overtaking for the second time in this race, the safety car, is actually holding up, albeit not in this position, the cars that are just behind Claire Norman. So directly behind is 12 and 10. Are they the ones behind 10? It's Fenwick and Shepherd is caught behind the number 13 and the number 12 car. So it's all mixed up, isn't it, to say the least. Parking number 1 is in lead, 25 Ball in second place, 90 Irving and Henderson in third, 78 Stockford and James in fourth place, and in fifth is number 6, the second of the Audis, Parker the Brichter, and then triple 4 Claire Norman in sixth position. Leading Class B is 83 Buttergill and Bensley. Leading Class C is 195 Dennis and Moore. Is that all the class leaders? I think it is. Other than invitation, which we've lost on the way side.
Yes, other than the one where whether or not there's even a finisher classified is yet to be determined by exactly what percentage it is that they lost their way up to complete yet another lap. Currently third place, number 90 Irving and Henderson, with the pressure increasing from behind. That Audi RS3 is closing all the time, but crucially not close enough to make the move at Paddock Hill Bend.
In fairness, they're matching each other for lap times, and that was a new personal best for the second of those two cars, and so it might not be continued. 13 car continues to go round, ignoring the 1 minute stop-go penalty for overtaking under the safety car. Very unusual.
Change of surface flag displayed at turn number 1, Paddock Hill Bend as well, which is I've not seen evidence of why that is the case, but it certainly is the case regardless. We mentioned in the third place that Irving and Henderson have been caught and are now battling with Stockford and James, the 1978. Well, Parkin second, the second of the Parkins, and Britcher, that number 6 car, is closing in on the pair. That it was a second a lap faster last time round with a gap at just 4 seconds.
Well, just notice we got the change of surface flag heading into Paddock Hill Bend. I can't see the debris, so it's whether they're a bit worried that there's some fluid down there, or just out of our shot, maybe some debris is there. It's now a black flag again for the car number 13. For the second time, it's ignored the stop-go. That's very poor driving standards, with rather simple rules being completely ignored there, I'm afraid, by phasing the number 13 car. That is a huge change, because I love that TT, it looks great, and it was actually going along running 6th in class as well in Class B.
It's one of the basic things you get told straight away, isn't it? The green flag is go, the yellow flag is slow down, the red flag is stop everybody, and the black flag is you stop.
Yeah,
and those are the basics.
So here comes the 90 cars, managed to stretch out in that third position, but Stockford and James will be desperately hoping that they can get themselves a step higher on the podium, especially as Parkin and Richter are closing in on them. In fact, Parkin and Richter in at number 6 is lapping considerably quicker than anybody. The moment. So number 6, 137.881 is the quickest car on the circuit at the moment. But number 13 continues round and now is ignoring the black flag.
So there's our battle. Third and fourth have been together for some time now, matching each other in lap times. Last time it actually extended by a couple of tenths. I've no doubt that'll snap back this lap. But Parkin and Britcher were quicker by the pair by somewhere between half a second and a whole second, to bring the gap down to 2.2 seconds between fourth and fifth.
It's a real challenge now when you've got a car that's ignoring the fact there's been DQ'd of how they actually get that car off the circuit. I'm sure I've seen in the past where they've even had to throw a red to just get rid of that car, but hopefully it won't come to anything like that. Here comes our race leader, the number 1 car, Parkin across the line. That's 31 laps in the book, 10 minutes still to go in this hour and 15-minute race. Very comfortable lead for the pole sitter of this race, Scott Parkin. It's such a shame that there was an issue with the Clark BMW, because that was actually very close to it in the lap times, and we never got to see that fight evolve, did we? Second place, it crosses the line, Dayglow yellow and black Seat TCR, number 25 Ball, and then it's going to be this fight for third position, which is 3 cars now about to duke it out. It is the number 90 Mazda MX-5 of Irving and Henderson, Stockford and James in the Audi TCR car, and then it is the second of the Audi TTs, Parkin and Richter in car number 6, chasing them down. So 3 for 1 step on the podium.
They're all up in their game as a result of this battle too. It was a good lap for Irving and Henderson, a 38.8. That was matched by Stockford and James, and then 0.2 of a second quicker was Parkin and Britcher on their own personal best lap to ensure that they can keep bringing the gap down.
And good news is car number 13 is now at last in the pit lane.
We all like
to obey the black flags.
Happy resolution to a good story, let's hope. Although I'm sure the resolution will actually occur in race control in about 5 minutes from now, which will be an interesting conversation. Do you know what? I'm not too sad to be missing, because I think it could be a tense one as well down there. Parkin still leads. That's the number 1 car, so Scott Parkin. Of course, Ryan Parkin shares the car number 6 with Dylan Britcher, who is currently closing in for 4th position. That gap down to 1 second ahead of him. Then much further closer, just 0.8 of a second between Stockford and James and Irving and Henderson. Personal bests left, right and centre in that part of the field, although not much going on in the other sections of the field. Class B still led by the Puttigill and Bensley number 83 machine, although they've only got 0.9 of a second over Woodward and Partridge in the 87, who in turn only have 0.8 of a second over Tidmarsh and Webster. So that's 1, 2 and 3 in Class B pretty close together at this stage. Class C is Dennis and Moore in the 195. They got 2.5 seconds over second place in Class Peerless and Stenning. Parkin is now through on that particular tour, however, so Parkin and Britcher up to 4th position overall, 4th in Class A, because Stockford and James have been done on that previous lap. The Audi drops down a place, and now now is once again that Mazda bottleneck that we've seen a couple of stages in this race. It's always survived and it's always come on strong whenever there's been a challenge.
Number 13 car, I've just realised I was calling it TT, it's not, it's a Porsche Cayman, I don't know why I was saying TT. It was a very long stop go in the end, so bizarrely, although it was black flag because it was ignoring the stop go, they've still given it 24th place in 10th class, but I was quite surprised at that. 5-second penalty also goes out to number 25. This is important, this is the second place car of Ball. He has got a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. In that second position. The good news for him is the gap between him and the number 90 car is over 10 seconds as it stands at the moment, and not much difference between their lap times.
Not at this stage. The one thing that would change that, of course, is if the Scott Parkin and Brickton car can make up yet another position. Ryan Parkin and Dylan Brickton. If they can gain one more spot, I think they're the quickest to the 3rd, 4th, 5th trio. They can begin to try and hunt it down with 6 minutes left on the clock.
Very good point, yeah. And if they can get the message, and I was just watching the Fazy car down there, they've clearly got pits to car radio if they want to.
Parkin and Brickton have gained that spot up to 3rd on that lap. That means that they are now only 7 seconds behind, having taken a huge margin out to Ball in 2nd.
Well, that means that Ball is at risk of losing that 2nd place as the Ball comes down in that Dayglow yellow and black TCR car round the Graham Hill bend onto the Cooper straight, and it's the red and black, or the black and red really I should probably say, Audi TT that comes onto the straight that needs to bring that down to less than 5 seconds and he'll move on up to 3rd.
What's now the battle for 4th isn't quite done yet either, because Irving and Henderson, that Mazda still ahead of the chasing TCR as Stockford and James, but the gap's still tiny despite them both having been passed by the Parkin and Brickton car.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're down to the last 5 minutes 20 to go, and see where I was on the street now, and we can put him off and start saying things and waving from the commentary box.
What kind of shadows do you think you can make? That's the question, isn't it?
He probably was making sure he couldn't hear us anyway, no matter what, but it was worth trying to see if we could put him off.
I reckon he blocks us out, even when he's not trying to do that.
He does that anyway, yeah, exactly. Right, we're down to less than 5 minutes to go in this race, and it is still the number 1 car, Scott Parkin, comfortably leading the way by a very, very healthy margin. That car is already, where is it? It's coming down to Graham Hill Bend, as just about to cross the line is the on the road 2nd place, number 25 of Ball, Darren Ball. But what is the gap between him and the number 6 Audi TT, Parkin and Brickton? 6.3 is still not enough for Parkin and Brickton to get themselves up into 2nd place. They are on the podium. They need to make sure they get the message through to what I'm assuming is Parkin, because they run those cars and therefore probably knows it inside out. We've got to hope that they know to keep pushing to bring that down. Stockford and James have got past Irving and Henderson as well.
Finally, I think they'll be free of that Mazda, which they've been trying to do for a long, long time. We'll get to see what pace Stockford and James have in their Audi TCR car. Accelerates down the Cooper straight now. I'm not sure they'll have quite the speed to get after Parkin and Brickton, but they'll certainly be able to, I think, find themselves in a comfortable 4th spot.
Yeah, it's so what's that? That's the number 78 car, isn't it? So car number 78, Matthew Stockford, Alan James, Audi RS3 LMS is the official title for that, but I'm pretty sure it is still TCR.
It is, yeah.
Even though it doesn't officially say that one. 3.5 minutes left to go, and wait to see. So the leader goes into Paddock Hill Bend, comfortably in that lead. Look for Ball. Where is the Dayglow yellow and black number 25 car, Darren Ball, in the Seat Leon TCR car? Here he comes now into Clearways and Clark Curve onto the Brabham straight. That margin's still coming down because here comes the black and red Audi TT car number 6 of Parkin and Brickton. What is the margin this time round? Through goes Ball, 31.5 seconds just over behind the lead Parkin. The chasing Parkin is now 4.841. That's within the 5 seconds that the 25 has to serve.
We've lost, they've zoomed in, it's the number 8 Ginetta of Matthew Tidmarsh and Chris Webster. That car stranded and just pulled to the inside of Sterling, so mechanical issue for them.
We've got more penalties popping up on the screen. A lap 5 5-lap penalty for Hampson and Schultz. And Downey has a 3-lap penalty in the number 76 Porsche Boxster.
I said mechanical issue. I'm actually convinced that the mechanical issue will be that the rear wing doesn't seem fully attached.
It does not.
And that it is definitely slanting on one side compared to the other.
So has that lost itself somewhere? Or has it been overloaded and collapsed? Or is that just me?
Overloaded class, that's what we'll do this evening, I suspect.
Absolutely. So, what are we down to? Less than 2 minutes to go. Where is our race leader? Here he comes, car number 1 across the line. That's 36 laps, 150 to go. This is the penultimate lap now, so one more after this. And you wonder whether the number 6 sister car is going to actually be able to move into second on the road, irrelevant of any time penalties being dished out.
Definitely is closing, and I think 1-2 for the Parkin and then Parkin and Bricta machines would be brilliant for them. They've got it effectively, but they're patching at a rate of about 1.5 seconds a lap with a gap under 5 seconds.
I mean, it doesn't need to. Here comes the second on the road of Ball, number 25. There comes the Parkin and Bricta car number 6 that needs to keep that margin less than 5 seconds thanks to the penalty for 25. But here is the number 78, Stopford and Alan James car, Matthew Stopford and Alan James. Now, interestingly, could they get involved in this as well? Actually, Parkin and Bricta are over 5 seconds now, so it is now not going to change it for them. 3-lap penalty for car 76 for a short pit stop, and Ball's going to hold on to second as it stands at the moment, where they've just got a couple of laps left to go, and we'll see which way we're going to see this. To us. So here comes the number 1 car onto his final lap with 12 seconds still left on the clock. So Parkin gets to go for one more tour of this GP circuit. I imagine he's enjoying it, but it is really, what are we going to see in terms of this battle for second place, both on the road and after penalties have been applied. 5-second penalty for car 183 as well. That was further back. The Cook's down in 30th place, so that's not really a problem. Here comes the number 25 Darren Ball. That looks less than 5 seconds again, I reckon.
It certainly doesn't look like 5 seconds to the eye. We'll track it as they come across the line. Up first is Darren Ball in that Dayglow yellow 25 machine. He crosses, and the gap behind to the 6, 2.2 seconds, well and truly within the 5-second margin.
Comfortably so, isn't it? Stopford and James, as much as they would like to be pushing. And I'll tell you where that came from, is that suddenly 38s again for Parkin and Bricta, so they knew they had to push it to stand the chance. Into the pits has come the 90 car, so Irving and Henderson that were running in 5th place. That Mazda MX-5 that was having a great fight with Stopford and James in their Audi RS3 LMS. That, sadly, is coming to retirement just 1 lap away from the end. What a shame.
Gifts a place back to everybody that was behind them, including, of course, Alan Blencoe and Claire Norman, who could not find a way past that Mazda for most of the race, have finally been gifted the position.
Yeah, that is a real shame at such a late stage for any car and driver. And they'll be gutted. They could just nurse it that 1 more lap to get it through to the checkered flag, which, of course, now has clicked to 0.
That one is one that we'll have to be keeping an eye on, I think, just to see how it plays out and whether or not they're all okay. But coming up just through the line, we've got the checkered flag out, and that means that we've got some finishers being classified.
Yeah, already Parkin's taken the win. And now look for the second and third place battle coming. So a great job for our pole sitter Scott Parkin, comfortably taking that win over the sister guy. Now he's already starting to apply the penalty, and here comes Darren Ball, car number 25, is going to cross the line. Second on the road, but with the 5-second penalty applied, is going to drop down into third, because there goes your second place, Parkin and Bricta. So it is the sister Audi TTs take 1-2. for this one. Darren Paul is going to hold on to that third position because through comes Stockford and James Howe. That just sort of fell off the pace at the end there. Was looking racy for a while, but wasn't able to make it work in the end. And then we wait for 444, Blenko and Norman. So Claire Norman going to bring the 444 car around. Here it comes now, I think.
It is indeed. 444 at Clark Curve. This will be for 5th position overall, 5th in Class A as well, of course, that being the fastest class, and up to take the checkered flag in a very, very respectable race. Class B winners have already crossed the line because they were a lap down, so we'll get to those in just a moment. But first of all, we get Williams across the line for 6th in Class A and overall in the 82. Then Irving and Henderson, we would be expecting, of course, to finish 7th. However, they're not out on circuit, but I think they'll be classified there anyway. One of the last cars up to the line is the number 10. We've actually got a car stopped at the pitch straight on the very last lap of the race, which is an interesting one. It's now got going again. I think it's going to be Ivo Mayers and Cameron Reed's BMW. Yes, it is. The 316 car eventually takes the checkered flag. And so your orders look like this. In Class A, the podium was led by the number 1 car of Scott Parkin. Then it was Ryan Parkin and Daniel Richter, and indeed Darren Ball in the 25 car. In Class B, it was led by the 87 machine, that driven by Lewis Woodward and Toby Partridge. In 2nd place, it was the 83 car of William Pottergill and Ryan Bensley. And in 3rd in Class B, you have to jump past one of the Class A cars to get there. It was the 51 of Jonathan Packer. Class C honours went the way of the 195 of Dennis and Moore. 2nd place to Peerless and Stenning in the 16. And in turn, 3rd in Class C, a little bit further down the order, the 46 machine of Nick Dougal and Thomas Hill. Several cars going awry in that one. I guess that's what happens when you've got such a long format to get through. However, it is now done and dusted. They'll be celebrating